Who's writing your story? Are you the author of your own story, or are you allowing others to write your story? So over the weekend, I got a chance to watch Hamilton for the first time. And it struck me as the reoccurring theme throughout the show was history's going to write your story. They're going to tell your story. You know who controls what the story is? You know who develops the story? It's us. We may not have complete control of how history tells our story. We may not know exactly how we're going to be remembered, but we can tell our own story. We can write our own story. We can develop who we want to be, what we want to be known for. We can stand for something. If you remember in Hamilton, they had the kind of antagonist, Bird, that ends up killing Hamilton at the end. He just wanted to be everybody's everybody. Don't be too loud. Don't say things too much. Let's shake a hand, smile big. Don't let them know what you stand for. But what did he find out? His big thing was he wanted to be in the room. He wanted to be where the decisions were made. He wasn't allowed in there because he didn't make decisions. Because nobody knew what he stood for. Nobody knew his messaging. So what about us today? We have the capabilities, we have the power to write our own story. Are you taking the time to write your own story? Are you taking the time to decide what legacy is going to be left behind you? We're all complex individuals. We all fail and succeed throughout our lives. We're not perfect. So there are going to be areas of our lives that are not going to be very pretty. Every single one of us is going to have issues out there and have things that we don't necessarily want as part of our story told. That makes us up, though, as an individual. Are we defining our own story? Are we telling our own story? Right now, we have the greatest opportunity to tell our story. We can use social media. We can use these different channels to get out there and tell our stories. We can get here and tell them in person. We can tweet them. We can TikTok them. Or I don't even know if that's a phrase, but if it is a phrase, TikTok them, Instagram, however you want to tell your story. You have the ability to tell your story. So maybe the only way that people know you and recognize you is as a professional athlete, but that's not entirely your story. Maybe you have a platform that you want others to know because that's more your story, where you came from, how you got to where you're at, the struggle it took you to get there. Perhaps telling that story helps the next kid be able to get there as well. Perhaps telling your story will help you develop your off-field opportunities. Telling your story allows brands to know who they want to align with. If your story aligns with a brand's story, the opportunity for you to work together presents itself. But if you never tell your story, who knows? Telling our story is not bragging on ourselves. Telling our story is allowing people to know who we are, what we stand for. Sometimes people aren't going to truly appreciate who we are, what we stand for, what we've done until we're gone. When we're in the moment, it's sometimes hard for people to see exactly the value that you are to its full extent. That should not deter us. We should take a stand. We should always be motivated by what our story is and tell our story, live our story, because our story has purpose and our story reflects who we are. So if you go back and you think about what's my story, who's telling it? That's what you need to be able to determine for yourself. Don't allow someone else to tell your story. You need to be prepared to tell your story. Now, when I say don't allow anyone else to tell the story, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have others that may work with you that advance the story. What I'm saying is you control the narrative. You control what people know about you. Also, you control how public that narrative is. Perhaps part of your story is not something that you want general public to consume. Now, we should never be embarrassed by anything that we've done in our lives because, like I said, we all have issues. We've all made mistakes. We all have things that someone else will question and scrutinize. So I'm not saying to be embarrassed by something that you've done in your life. But what I'm saying is when you have that public persona, what you want to put forth, what you want to be your brand, what you want to be known for, tell your story. That doesn't mean that you have to tell all of the bad stuff in there. There are going to be times when those are elements of your story that are critical and need to be incorporated, but not every time. So go out there, figure out who's telling your story, and let's take control of it. Let's start telling our own story. Let's start sharing the image that we want to portray. Let's start telling others what we're all about. And then at the end of the day, history will judge us. History will write our stories for us. But if we've done everything possible to take our stand, believe in what we do, tell our stories our way, chances are history is going to be pretty kind to you. Go tell your own story. Don't let someone else dictate it for you. Get out there, keep being successful, keep driving forward. This is the Playbook Expert. If you need assistance from us, there's plenty of content for you to consume, or reach out directly to us and we can set up a time for a consultation and we can help you get to your dreams, get to all those things that you want. Remember our 4 ways to get to what you want: work, attitude, network, team. We'll help you get through that. We'll help you navigate those streams. But the first thing that you need to do after watching this video is determine who's telling your story, and is it the story that you want told? Let's get out of here and get after it.